Hi, this is Brandon. Today we're going to be taking a look at my grandfather's 2016 Ferrari California T. So first, I'm going to drive around the car a little bit and give you my initial thoughts about the driving dynamics, and then I'll move on to the interior of the car and we'll explore the many different technological features that this has to offer. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you notice when you drive this car is just how easy it is to drive. I mean, I'm sitting in automatic mode right now. I mean, it's a wonderful experience. And then the great thing about the gearbox on this car is that it's double clutch. It is just so fast. So when I put it in sport mode, like I'll do right now, you can see that I'm just able to shift really fast. And also, you get the loud sound of the car, and it just sounds great. This is the only car that I'm familiar with that pops, other than maybe a C63 AMG, that pops when you shift up. Now, it sounds really cool. It's very unique. It's not manufactured at all. Like on the F-Type, the sound's a little bit manufactured, if we're honest. But, I mean, on this, it's just so natural. And, I mean, this car, I really, really like how it drives. The brakes are fantastic as well. They're carbon ceramic, as I previously stated, and that just makes it so sharp. So again, this is just a great car for comfort when you want it to be, and then sportiness when you want it to be as well. I mean, last year I drove the Lamborghini Aventador, and that car seemed like it is always in race mode, which, depending on how you like to drive, that might be a good thing for you. But for someone who just wants kind of a grand tour, which is what this car kind of is, it's just a great, great option. I guess my only criticism of how this drives is the turn signals. As you just saw, I was kind of struggling to use a little bit. They're kind of annoying. There's actually two settings. Now, they're buttons on the steering wheel, which is a bit weird, but not that weird for a sports car like this. But it's kind of interesting because there's actually two settings. So if you're just making a quick lane change or a quick turn, you can tap it and then it blinks like just 3 times. But there's actually kind of a fine line between that and then a longer click. So if you hold it, it'll actually click indefinitely. And it's really easy to get your turn signal stuck on for a long time in this car. But, I mean, you definitely get used to that. It's certainly not as weird as something in the Huracan, something like the Huracan, where you have to like push something in 2 directions, and it's a weird thing. But I'll give you a little burst of speed here just to get that sound again. So here we go. So as you saw, I mean, it definitely just turns on. And I was actually in automatic mode there. And it's just, I mean, it's so fast compared to Ferraris of old. I mean, given that this is even the entry-level model and it's this fast is absolutely astounding. So now we're going to turn to the interior aspects of this car. We'll go over the various features and all those things. So I'll meet you back at the Golf Club. Okay, so now we're going to go over the interior aspects of this car. Now, right off the bat, I'm just going to start off with the gauge cluster. Now, on the left, you can see that there is a variety of pieces of information in regards to this car's twin turbocharged 3.9 liter V8 with 553 horsepower. So as you can see, I have the oil temperature and the water temperature of the engine, as well as info about the radio, and this is totally customizable. You can actually go in and you can look at things about the trip, and you can see many other things. You've got your vehicle dynamics information, as well as various setup information that kind of sets up the gauge cluster. And then also one other aspect about this that's pretty interesting is that on the control area, so when you saw that I was controlling the screen, I was using this little thing, there's actually a pit speed setting. So if you have this on a track, you can set the speed that you want to be traveling in the pit lane. So moving over to the steering wheel, And this car is actually equipped with the carbon fiber steering wheel option, which looks fantastic. It has a very high-end feel to it, and it feels absolutely great. So as you can see, you have your different settings for your different drive modes here, your wiper settings, and your turn signals on the steering wheel, as well as the various light settings and the start button. Now, one thing that a lot of people I don't think know about Ferraris is that to start them, you actually have to use a key and the start button. So in order to start this car, you have to actually turn the key and then hit the start button, as opposed to many more modern cars that have just a single start button. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing that maybe you guys don't know about. So also, given that this car has the carbon fiber option, you can see that it has the carbon fiber paddles, which feel absolutely fantastic when you flick them. I really like how they feel. And moving on to kind of the center console area of this car, as well as the navigation screen, you can see this has a very intuitive navigation screen. There's definitely not too many buttons. I really like how they chose to do that. I think that, I mean, it just looks absolutely fantastic. So, as you can see, you have your different radio, media, navigation screen settings. And also, one interesting thing about this car is that it is fitted with Apple CarPlay, and that allows for a totally new intuitive way to access the various settings within the car and to connect your phone to the car. Also, there's this other screen right here which has a variety of information about the turbocharge, and this is a turbocharged car, as I mentioned, and you can turbocharger, and as you can see that there's the turbo response, turbo efficiency, the turbo pressure, and there's other things like the time and temperature outside, and it's just a kind of a cool information screen, and you just access it again by tapping the side. It doesn't actually move. It's actually just like a kind of like a touch screen, but obviously you're not touching the screen. So moving on to kind of the center area here, you have the you have the setting for reverse. You've got your air conditioning settings and your settings for an automatic transmission. So this car does have a dual clutch transmission, but it has an automatic mode that'll automatically change gears for you, obviously, electronically. And you have your settings for the windows. Now that's kind of interesting that they chose to put it in the center. So to raise and lower the window, you actually have to access the center console of the car instead of just on the door there. But I guess actually now I'll move on to the roof. Now I see on a lot of car reviews people get mad if the reviewer doesn't show the roof action, especially obviously if it's a convertible. So I will show you that right now. In conclusion, the Ferrari California T is a great Grand Tourer. We'd like to extend a special thanks to our grandfather for lending us the car, and also we'd like to give a quick reminder to you guys to check out our other videos and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.